Alright, so before we get started, I just want to give a big shout out and thank you to everybody for your support. If you haven't liked the channel or subscribed to the channel, make sure you do. Please hit that notification button so you stay up to date on what's coming at you. I know I have to apologize. It has been a while since I put something up, about a month. But in my case, my defense, I've had to go back to work, day job, full time, and trying to balance work and this has been a little bit tough, but I think I'm going to get it figured out. So anyways, so today what we were going to do is we have some beadlock rims down here in the yard, and we're going to vent them. The set that we have that is already vented is by RC all-wheel drive, and I'll show you what I mean. So here on the inner ring, see if I can get that to where you can see that. There it is. It's got a 5/64 hole drilled there in the brass. These are brass. And then on their aluminum rim, you can see the hole there. And these are aluminum. And then they're outside. The outside lock is steel. So the idea behind venting, of course, is one of the things is to, because a lot of these are foam filled. This is a stock rim off of the JLU, this guy here, and these are vented from the factory. So just to give you an idea, I don't know if you can hear this. We're going to try. You can hear the air escape out of it. And the idea is that a lot of these tires, some guys take them out, but there is foam in here. When you run them in water, you don't want that foam inside there to get moldy and nasty, and it'll degrade and fall apart. So the tires or the wheels are generally vented, as you can hear again the air leaving, so that you can squeeze the water and it keeps that foam piece inside nice and dry and in good shape. Like I said, all of these on the RC all-wheel drive, these have already been vented. The inner this side is, like I said, aluminum. These are brass, and then this rim is steel. So to give us an idea of how much the RC all-wheel drives weigh, these particular wheels, you're looking at about 28.6 grams each. There we go. So that's what we have. So these are ready to go. We don't have to vent these or anything, but our aim rocks up here, RC four-wheel drives in the center, and our Endura, these aren't vented yet, but we're going to go over that and show you how we're going to do that. So the aim rock rims are aluminum. So the wheel itself is aluminum, the ring is aluminum, and then the inner rim here, this inner piece here, these are all aluminum, and they weigh out at 10.9 grams. So of course the brass is going to be a lot heavier. We put these off to the side for now. And then our RC four-wheel drives, these are all steel. The outer ring, or the inner ring, is steel. The rim itself, here, let's pull this one apart. So this piece is steel, our main rim, and then our outer that, pinches our tire in, it is steel. And the inside on these, I believe, are also steel. We can find out real quick. Our handy dandy magnet. Nope, they are aluminum. Those are steel. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to go ahead and vent these. We're going to be drilling the same size hole we're going to use, same bit. It's a 5/64 that are the RC all-wheel drives. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill us a hole in the top of the ring. We're going to do this on all of them. But we're going to drill us a hole in the top of the ring, and then we need to drill a hole in our main rim here so that the air has a way to completely escape. We'll put these off to the side just real quick, and we'll get on to how we're going to do that. And then here are our Enduros. Now their casing, let's make sure, again with our handy dandy magnet, our outer locking piece is aluminum, our inner rim is aluminum, and I'm pretty sure, yep, they're all aluminum rims. So the Enduros are all aluminum. Here we go. So we're also going to be venting these as well. Now on there, once the two halves on the Enduros are together, I don't think you can see it, but right here it's got a small notch, and I would assume that it would be vented enough. You can see on the inside, if I hold it just right, get you up here a little closer. In this area here, let's see if I can find something to point it with. Let's get it right there. That's where I'm talking about. If you can barely see that line there, it goes to the outside, and then there's a little bitty hole here. So we're going to go ahead and use our bit and open that up so that they're all vented the same to the same size bit, 5/64. So the one thing you want to remember when we're doing this is that the possibility of when you're venting these wheels to put too much pressure on the rim or the ring while you're drilling, and you'll either push it out around or you'll break it. So the idea behind using our drill press is that not so much that it keeps it locked into place so it doesn't move up and down, but so that the rim or the ring and the wheel or whatever we're using to whatever we're getting ready to drill, is that the vise that we use on our drill press doesn't so much as keep it from moving up and down as it keeps it from spinning as the drill bit moves into the material. So we'll set those there. But what I've done is I've made I found a piece of dowel that was big enough, and luckily for us, what I did was make sure that they just slip on. There, that ring slips on, so that you're not running a risk of putting pressure so much as that you bend that out around or crack it or anything like that. So we're able to use this jig for all of our inner rings, apart from the Enduros. And with the Enduros, they are, oh wait, nope, the Enduros are fine. It's these. The RC four-wheel drives, they're a little bit bigger inside there, but what we're going to do is we're just going to put a piece of masking tape around so that we make up that difference before we drill that ring. That way it keeps the pressure nice and even, and we don't have to worry about that. Now the tricky part is the inner retainer rings. This is off of the aim rock, and what I've done in that case is that I've taken another piece of dowel and I've split it so that it sits inside the edge here on our inner ring, and the vise will keep it gripped from moving side to side this way, and this will keep it from being pushed out of round because it has something to back it up. And this piece, basically it'll rest on the vise right here on this surface. Now the RC four-wheel drives, they're a little bit more tricky because of the way that the hub is on the inside. So if you can see inside there, this is our hub here, and it stands about maybe just shy a weak quarter inch above that. So the one that I've used for the other rings, it won't fit in there because it's hitting the hub. So I simply just made a smaller one that goes above that hub, and it will give us the support we need to keep us from pushing it out around, and it will also protect our hub, because once you go to drill through and you hit that wood, you'll start to see the wood shavings come up through the hole. Now, I have the luxury of having a drill press to do this on. I know a lot of folks do not have a drill press to use. If you could probably get by with a vise and a drill, but the main thing is if you're going to do that, make sure you take the time to make your jigs so that you don't push your rims out around, because once they're out around, they're not going to seal, and of course they're going to want to wobble when they go down the road. So anyways, these are our wheels that we're going to work with. I'll get the vise set up and we'll get started venting some rims. Okay, so the drill press is set up. On my vise, I've added some masking tape on the inside on both sides. These have a knurl on them that keeps material from moving around while you're running your drill press. So we don't want to damage our rims, so I went ahead and put that in there to protect that. But I think what we're going to do is go ahead and start with our aim rocks here, and we're going to go ahead and drill us a hole in the top there. And we're going to be, like I said, I made this jig before to keep it from going out of round, or bending it, or cracking it, or breaking it. Give me just a second, put this in there. There we go. And then again, I have another piece of wood here that we're going to use to give some support down here on the bottom. Go ahead and open this guy up. There we are. You see we got that. Now we want to get that centered in the top of our ring. There, I think, looking pretty good. Come forward a little bit. Yep, looks pretty good. So we'll go ahead and tighten everything down. Now when we go to drill this, we're not going to put a whole lot of down pressure on our press. We're going to let that bit do as much of the work as possible. You don't want to force it through there. Again, we're using a 5/64 bit. This is more of an all-purpose bit I just had on hand. So you want to be careful not to break your bit also. So we're going to fire this up and we'll run us a hole. Okay, you can see that, you know, as we went through and the aluminum peeled away, and then we could start to see sawdust or dust off of our dowel there, and then you know you're good, you're through your materials. So let's pull this one out and look at it. There we go. And there's our hole. Trying to get that to where you can see it. No, I better right there. There we go. We could have got it a little more in center, but as long as we're away from the lip inside here that locks your bead in, it's got one on both sides, we should be okay. So let's do another one. All right, here we go. There you can see the wood dust there. There's our hole. There we are. Right there. And you can't see that because I'm not on camera, my face isn't, but I am wearing safety glasses. Aluminum tends to fly around quite a bit. Hard to see, but it's there. And one more. There's our last one of the aim rocks. Okay, so this is where this jig comes in handy. This is the one we're going to use. It's going to give us protection here for our on our rim on the inside there. That'll give that something to back that area up and give it a little bit more strength before we go. And then I have this one that I made that will be going underneath this edge to give us the same support that this did for our rings. Give it just a little more time to get this one set up. You want to, real quick before I go any further, you want to try, you can see where these mount to the back of the wheel, these tabs here. There, you can kind of see them. Those tabs, we want to get that hole in between those tabs because the back of our screw, we don't want to cover that up, so we want to be able for it to breathe freely, so to speak. Put this all back in. Then I can see on the side by looking at it this way where those tabs are. And go ahead and lock this jig down with a piece of tape. A bit better. There it is. There we go. There. There we are. And the final one. And there we have it. There we go. Okay. So we got all of the aim rocks are all done. Put those off to the side. We can move on to the RC four-wheel drives next. Okay, so let's get set up for the RC four-wheel drive. Now, this is a different jig, like I said before earlier. Um, this one fits between our rim and our hub there. And that'll give us added protection for our hub to make sure we don't hit it with a bit. And it'll give it that support that we're looking for there. I have another jig that I've put here to go across the bottom to give it support here on the bottom so that it doesn't push down on its own too much. We'll try to give it as much support as you can to keep it, make sure that you're not going to throw it out of round. Get our drill set up. That looks pretty good. And again, like I said before on all of these, I'm letting that bit do the work. I'm not putting a whole lot of downward pressure off of my press onto my rims. So here we go. And there, those are a lot easier to see. There's our vent hole. All right. There we are. There we have it. Last one. And I'm only tightening this vise down enough to keep that snug. Again, you don't want to mar it or bend it or tear it up or anything, so just take your time. Okay, now that we're done with that jig, we can switch back to this one and get the holes drilled in our rings. Now these are a little bit sloppy in there, so all I'm going to do is just use some tape to go around that to take up the difference. There we go. And again, you want to try to stay as centered as you can so that you don't damage your seat for your tires. go. Last one. There we have it. Okay, so with our RC four-wheel drives done, it's on to the Enduras. Okay, so let's get on to our Endura. We'll start with our inners first. Now that one I kind of rushed, put a little bit of pressure on there that probably didn't need, but we'll take a look at it. Give it a roll on the bench. Oh, it's fine. There we have it. There we go. Okay, so on our rims, if you look, there is a groove right here, and there's two of them. There's another one over on this side. And when you put the two halves together, there is where that notch is right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to use that notch as our mark for running our drill through. So we're just going to open this up. There's one on each side, but we're only going to do one side. That should be adequate to open these up. I would imagine probably this is enough for the wheel to vent, but I want them to vent a little bit more, so that's what we're going to do. So we'll get this set up. And I've got my block of wood supporting underneath my rim. you can see that's nice and opened up. So there's our vent hole. Okay. There we are. There's our new vent hole. Let's go ahead and open this one up and we'll look at the difference between what we had before. There we are. Now you can see here's the original groove in the rim, and then here's where we've opened it up. To give us that nice 5/64 vent hole that we needed. Okay, so there we go. We got them all done. Like I said, it was pretty straightforward. You just want to make sure that you're going to use some type of dowel or jig to take up the difference in these areas. Again, you want the vise basically just is keeping it from going this way. So you don't want to snug these down super tight. You don't have to put a lot of squeeze pressure this way on them. And then come up with a dowel or something. That way when you're running these through, as you saw when I was doing it over there as an example, it keeps you from pushing your rim out of round and then, you know, getting it to wobble. But there we go. There's all that. And you could do it with a drill and a vise. Just take your time. You know, when you're going to do it, I mean, it doesn't have to be super precise as far as perpendicular to the workspace, you know, being perfectly square, perfectly this way or that way. It just makes it nice having to be able to do the drill press, but you could get by with it. So hopefully that was helpful. If you have any suggestions or comments, please make sure that you put them down in there in the comments below. I love getting information back, and I love trying to spread information around to other folks doing the same thing that could help somebody else out. Okay, so we got them all done. It was pretty easy. With the drill press, it's great. You could probably do it with a drill and a vise, just as long as you take your time. Be careful. You want to make sure that you hit that subscribe button and the notifications. I greatly appreciate it. Next video we're going to be doing, we're going to throw some tires. I've got a bunch of different kinds of tires here, a few different kinds. And we're going to go ahead and we'll do a video on how to mount them and how to put all of these together. And we'll get them ready for our next build. So again, hey, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. And make sure, stay charged.